All right, what's going on, everybody? It is Wednesday, August 16th, and last night was pretty good. We had a 100% success rate on the setups that we called from here, right here. We were pretty much right on every single one. If you go look back at all the pairs, EURAUD, GBPCAD, GCHF, USDCHF, and then AJ, EJ, EU, NZDCAD, Gold, they all panned out very nicely. These ones made some moves as well, so I'll be going over them. But they all played out perfectly. So let's go take a look at what we're looking at tonight. Now, heads up, there is news in the next 15 minutes on, this is yesterday. Okay. AUD news right here. So that says 9:30 Eastern. I'm an hour behind, so that's the next 13 minutes actually. No, I can't do math. 18 minutes. So we're going to see what happens over by then and see if we can get through this and capitalize on some gains. So the first pair we're going to go over is AJ. Last night, information high. We had it going down for a sell for at least retest of the low. It did that, took almost all day, but it did pan out to play out exactly the way we wanted it to. Now, continuing, what do we think today? What's the move now? Well, based on how we see all these trend lines and all the retests, how everything's moving, it's in between the mayo, the water, down to the blueberry, on the 4 hour at least. I mean, we have some pretty solid momentum to continue this downtrend towards this level. So my continued bias on this is sells. We are looking for sells. That is ultimately what we want to go for. It's just the easiest thing to play out, and I think we're going to all benefit greatly if we play them out. So, where to though? Well, let's take a look. The trend line. Past this low, so let me see if there's any 4 hour. So it's in a 4 hour support zone as we speak. There's a daily support zone, and I think there's some. That's inside of some order blocks, but I think we're going to see some moves going down towards this 500 moving average. So that 500 moving average is going to be the place that we look at for the short term, which is about 28 pips. Most likely will be more. And then, oh, it also lines up with the daily. So that matches out. But I see it dropping further. Not saying that the news is going to make that happen, but I do believe that the news is going to help push it in that direction towards this trend line, and we're going to have some fun. So we're going to stay bearish on AJ. Hopefully that ends up playing out during the analysis because it's going to be live here. So we're all going to see it. I'm either going to be right or I'm going to be wrong. So let's see. Let's have some fun. Now we have AUDNZD. Now this one played out a little bit better. Just off of what I'm seeing here, we have upwards movement. We have gaps here, right? So place for market to easily go back and dive down into. And we had highs here, drop, break of structure to the low, rejection, pullback. It looks good. So ultimately, AUDNZD, just from what I'm seeing on this mark, it looks good for the drop as well. I'll go to AUDNZD. So this is the weekly, and the 4 hour. This one has been consolidating on a higher time frame. So we got from here to here. Right. So it messed around. And I still believe we're going to see it drop a little bit more. Just off of here, what I'm seeing. Let's see. So, okay. So, only thing is the EMAs are tight, which is not my favorite thing, but if we are looking at a continued move, this is most likely going to continue that drop down. Okay. So let's see how we end up doing tonight. Let me see is here. Refresh it. All right, so AUD and NZD are both very, very weak, which is interesting because that means this is going to be more consolidation, right? It usually leads up to that where if both pairs are weak, one can't go down and up because that means one's weaker. Well, it could go down. So if AUD NZD is actually weaker, which on here it says no, they're equally the same. And that means this pair should be like stuck at a standstill, essentially. So I'm not really too sure, other than from overall just structure, this thing wants to continue up. Right? So I'm going to go with AUD with the news being more bearish tonight, just to fit the mold of what we're seeing structurally, a higher time frame. And that's that. I mean, so AUD NZD means like this. All cap it. All right. Let's go to Euro AUD. I just have that paired up. So I took this pair for a trade last night. I caught it for a buy. I actually got out a little bit sooner than I had liked, but I caught the buy right here. And I believe there was a 15-minute shark fin. Yep, right here. So a 15-minute shark fin, got in, saw no divergence, nothing pointing me to go in the downwards motion. So I continued up. My initial take profit was back at the take recent high, which I grabbed from here up to about here. I didn't ride it all the way out because I just got out. So it did play out perfectly and continued. And we're still at that standpoint of it continuing in that. If this is the AUD news that we all think, that means AUD pairs that start with AUD, AUDJPY, AUDNZD are going to drop. And if Euro AUD, where AUD is the second in the pair, we're going to be looking forward to drops. Now, I still don't see anything of it being a drop unless it decides to do some sort of reversal on it. But we're going to find out. We're going to see. It just either this news is going to be something super powerful and it's going to make the market drop and completely reverse, or it's going to continue up maybe to the EDR high, the weekly, the AWR, which is the weekly range. So if I go to the weekly, you like the bigger look, it still has room to push. The daily is not showing any signs of it, kind of reversing it. So I'm going to say this is going to continue in that upwards motion that goes in line with the bias of AUD, right? So your AUD still bullish, no reversals happening yet. Now, that's the news. What it could do is it could push it up, and then later on in the sessions, we could see a reversal. So just because it pushes up during the news section doesn't mean that's the ultimate move, right? So they'll push it up, and then we could see a pullback. So just be careful with that. You don't want to just ride it out and be like, yeah, buy for the next 5 days. Like, it could be a buy just for the night, and you got to get out once it hits that high, and then you start seeing reversal patterns, get out. So moving along, we got GU. GCHF here actually played out beautifully. We have this for a buy. That one straight up, but that's not the pair we're looking at right now. So this one broke up above the trend line, but it bounced off the blueberry and it's bouncing off the EMA. So we're still kind of in that I don't know zone. I even said I wasn't going to be touching this pair just because of where it was at in the where it was at structurally. I mean, if you see here, this would be like considered like a level 2 in a sense, but it's still ranging, and I don't like this range. So this range could actually put this thing back down, right? Because it's hitting up here on the top of this mark. Right? Let me show you. Like you got all this, right? Or should I do downward motion, sideways motion, hit at the top? Want to be looking for the drops. So now that it did that, we could say just off of the structure, let's look for sells. And because the EMAs are getting tight, this trend line doesn't actually stay qualified anymore because it'll just break all the rules of what we think is supposed to be a trend line. So I'm gonna delete that for now. Let's go to the daily. Yeah, daily's riding the, look at that, the blueberry, the 50, the ketchup, all of it. I mean, came back down to touch this 500 moving average when June 30th, so a month and a half ago. Now we're going to be waiting for it to most likely make another move down because this isn't in a reversal spot. It could, actually do a bigger analysis of it. Okay, so even this is, fix it up here, but so it broke through both. And this is still bearish. So overall, just from what I'm seeing, my mind's saying still look for bearish moves. If it does decide to go up, that's not really something that I'm paying attention to. And the weekly looks good for more so of a continued buy because the EMAs are just starting to curve back up. And price has been moving up since September last year. So we could see some pretty decent setups come, but it's still in that zone and it's not perfect. So let's just hold off on this one. It's not the most clear, but just from what I'm seeing here in the meantime, I mean, the weekly can take all week. This could go down tonight and then end up going up for the week and continue with that weekly trend. But just for the night, it looks like it wants to be more bearish. So pay attention to that. I'm not going to write this one down though, because it's not for sure, but that's what I'd be paying attention to. So we got GCAD. This one played out exactly the way we wanted it to last night as well. Have this power up already? Oops. For this pair, we had for a bullish move last night. It did complete that bullish move. It didn't pull back as far as we wanted, but it did continue with that GBP news that happened at 1 a.m. It pushed it up directly and could have caught a pullback here for about 59, 60 pips. But overall, it did finish out that bullish move. And I still don't see anything that says reversal isn't imminent. I do see, let me see if this is legit just divergence. No, that's not divergence. So this is still bullish. And because it's still bullish, the only thing I can say is look for a pullback and entry. Now, why did I draw this red? What is this for? I don't even know. This is for like a take profit? Oh yeah, I think it. Oh, I don't even know why that's here. Regardless, this is still bullish, and I think it's going to retest up here to this high. So if that and GBP pairs, they throw a lot of divergence, meaning we'll see price go up past this, most likely following up with this trend line right here, and then this RSI will stay beneath where it's at. Okay. And stay beneath this one to complete the regular divergence. Either way, this is bullish. So GBPCAD looks the best. Keep it bullish. Expect a pullback. You know, don't try to get into early. It is maybe reversal, right? It's Wednesday. So although this might be bullish overall, we could still see this thing drop tonight, and then by Thursday correct itself to finish out the week back at top. So just know that that is a possibility. But the bias for it is still bullish. Just expect a reversal and wait for a pullback. So I'm gonna put GBPCAD. It's already up there. So we're gonna leave that there. But I'm gonna get rid of these just for. All right. Next one. This one played out exactly the way we wanted it to as well. A blueberry. It's riding it like it wants to continue. It's not a reversal pattern. 4 hour doesn't have a reversal pattern. This is a continuation to it. None of this is reversal pattern. So most thing, it's the same thing as GCAD. Expect a pullback, and then we're going to be looking for buys. I want to see. So we have a 4 hour resistance zone up here. Given that it may drop, retest the low here or the high from yesterday, we could see a big 44 pip move, 45 pip move, and be in some pretty decent profit. So I'm going to say GCAD is the same, or a G Chief is the same. I'm going to put that up here now, Chief. And we are going to have some fun. So what is the next pair? One is G Chief, and it is now 8:34. So the news just happened. I want you guys to take a look at this. I did pause the video, and it's still dropping. Look at this. So we said AUD for a drop, and that's exactly what it's doing. I just had a trade on it. I took it down to the 500 moving average, took my profit, and I was out, which I think, let's see how many pips that was. 30 pips, about 30 pips. So wasn't a bad trade. And all of them actually did that. So we had AJ for a drop, and so AJ for a drop, AUDNZD for a drop, and then we had Euro AUD for a rise. So AUDNZD, there you go. Drops about 41 pips. And well, a little bit less because it didn't start right here. But and then we had Euro AUD. Look at that. Right to the weekly the AWR and the ADR. That's literally what we said. So I was gonna make this video for private members, but I don't want everybody on YouTube to see this. You guys are gonna check it out live, and yeah, hopefully whoever is watching this, if you guys didn't see this video and you already caught it, awesome. But if you didn't, I mean, this is why these chart analyses are pretty powerful, because not to toot my own horn, but it's just accurate. People win. You can utilize it. If it's confluence with what you're looking at, it helps. So yeah, pretty stoked that that ended up working out. AUD USD probably dropped. Continue with that. Yep. Beautiful. And it's all aligned, right? This wasn't any fundamental shit. This is all technical analysis. And it's funny because a lot of people shit on technical analysis. I think every way works depending on your method. But if you go in line with higher time frame technical analysis, the news tends to go in favor of what it's showing. So we got some solid movements. All the pairs did what they did. But like I said earlier, when we were going over Euro AUD, this could be the push up, and then we can see some consolidation, because usually when it hits the ADR high or low, we'll see price consolidate. It doesn't usually, it happens occasionally, but not all the time. Most of the time it hits it, and then it tends to consolidate or reverse. So if you're watching this later and you see where price is at, expect to some sort of reversal. Now it's breaking. They got a lot of momentum down here. we could see some consolidation, maybe a pullback up. Either you can catch that for a scalp, or you can wait for it to pull back and continue, or it's not going to do any of that. It's going to continue down, and then by tomorrow we'll see a reversal for maybe New York session. So who knows? Either way, it was a win. Awesome. Fuck yeah. Now let's go over. I did GG. So EURCAD. This was the pair I said last night I didn't really know what to do about because, and I'll explain it for those of you that didn't see the last night's video. But it broke a low here, right? And it broke the high up here. So it was kind of like in the middle with a lower low and, a next higher high in a sense on the short term. So I was like confused on what to do, and I'm glad I didn't touch it because it did this shit. I mean, you could have got in and you could have just essentially like scalped it at the top and like rode it down to the low, but it's not really any solid movements. But that's why I like to look at the bigger time frame to see what it's showing. And so far, I mean, it's still respecting the daily trend line we have moving here. It's working. It's maintaining the structure, telling me that, okay, just because it's here doesn't mean it has to fully drop, but I'm seeing wicks. Yesterday was a wick. It's all telltale signs of it finishing out the structural move that may be dropping here. I mean, there is a possibility there we could see another wick up to touch up there and then drop, but ultimately I do see this thing dropping. So let me see if there's any structure. All right, so it did bounce off of the daily resistance here. So there's that confluence. If we go to the 4-hour confluence here as well. So it all worked out, and I think there was a quarter block there. So I still think that we're sticking with the higher time frames. Your bias should be focused more for sells. It looks like it's actually going to do that now, but it is stuck in a slight range right here. But if you are able to hold your trades a little bit longer than a day, I can see this thing playing out to finish this whole move. I mean, look at this from a 1-hour perspective. If I go down and measure this out, like 220 pips, 230 pips, like it's a lot of movement. So if you want to take it safe, you can wait for it to drop, break this structure. And if it breaks that structure, you know for a fact that you have solid moves. But that's also beneath this blueberry. If it breaks beneath that blueberry, I mean, it's just maintaining the ranging motion that it's inside of right now. It's in like a channel. So my bias toward this is let's look for sells. What is the? It says it's peak formation high, so I still believe we're going to see this for a sell. Now I'm going to put that up here. Right, so if you're looking for sells tonight, this might not even pull back. This might be one of those straight drops, but that's okay. Euro GBP. This pair continued to drop. Let's see. So initially, I thought it was going to pull back a little bit higher last night. I got in on a too early of a buy, predicting something, and went against myself and took a loss here. Made it back with Euro AUD and NZDCAD, but still I went against my better judgment and went against what I knew it was going to do. Never do that. So it continued. The volatility bands are still pretty tight. There is slight divergence, but it's nothing concerning for a reversal now. I mean, what you could do is you could sit and expect it to reverse. I mean, I wouldn't want to take this for a sell until it did some sort of big move up, right? Because it's already at a low. Yeah, it could just continue, but it's very, well, the statistics of that type of trading working long term is not very likely. So your best bet is to wait for a pullback and then a continued drop. But that's just from a 1-hour perspective. Let me see. Did it break this low? It did. We had a breakdown here. It closed beneath the candle, which is perfect. But with that, there's always a pullback. And we have little hammer candlestick pattern. Doesn't mean a reversal, but it definitely means a pullback. We'll go to the daily. It broke out of this channel here. Now that it broke out here yesterday, now we have momentum, right? So now all this trapped liquidity that was up there, it's going to start making its way back down. All the moving averages are all above it. So we know that we are in a downwards trend. And this line right here, the structure point, was broken down here. So the fact that we had that broken, it pulled back to the EMAs. Now it's dropping again. We are going to probably see this hit this low. That's from the daily. So that would be, I would be looking for sells, most likely look for a pullback, maybe to retest the trend line, and then for a sell. Now let me extend this trend line a little bit to see where it could potentially end up going. Right? So if this pulls back, we could see a very high profit. This is most likely what I'll do with this pair is pull back, hits the trend line, retests, hits some EMAs. This is on the daily, and then drop. Now, if I go to a 4 hour, it looks very good for that. And then this pullback, right, the quote unquote pullback is the midweek reversal. And if it hits up here and ends up here tonight going into tomorrow, or tomorrow on a Thursday going into Friday, then it's most likely not going to move past here. And it's going to range here for the rest of the week. And then next week, we'll see it drop. So just keep your eyes peeled, expect a pullback, continue with bearish moves, and we'll ultimately be able to have some fun. I mean, if you want to, and it does decide to pay, you could get in for buys, but in order for that to happen, you need to see some powerful upwards movement. Knowing it's going to alert you. I mean, if it takes out this little peak right here, it goes up, then we know for a fact that it could pull back. Most likely will pull back. We'll see it finish off this move towards that high. May not happen over in one night, like I said. It might, take a day where it drops down, reverses, ends the day this way, and then Friday comes along, Thursday, Friday drops, and then moves up that way. So if that's the case, then this is where we'll be buying. So let's see what happens. That's what I'll be waiting for. I'm not touching. Let's go to EUROCHF. For this one, it broke the trend line. We tested the trend line. It's consolidating on the EMAs. It's in a tough position because it does look like it wants to reverse with this divergence here, but it's not oversold. So look at that fat wick, right? Look at that wick. That's all trapped liquidity. They don't throw wicks like this on, on accident. Very few times I've seen on a daily time frame. But remember this: the higher the time frame, the simpler Forex gets. That's why when you go on like babytips.com or you go like search up like Google or YouTube and look up Forex basics, they teach you about candlestick patterns, but they tend not to work on like the 5 minute, the 15 minute. They usually will work on the daily, the weekly, right? So if we're on a daily and a weekly, we start seeing fat wicks, small body candles. That's all trapped. It's all trapped liquidity. So my opinion is expect a pullback because look at how many wicks there are. Every single day, history repeats itself. You rarely get a candle where it's just a small, tiny wick like this and then a straight candle down. So most likely, if we are going to want to see this be a drop, it's going to form a bigger wick first, and then it will drop. So just knowing that from a higher time frame, that gives us structure for the lower time frame. So essentially, I think this is a order block. No, regardless, that's a big candle. It's going to have some imbalances, just like that. And what we're going to want to do is expect to push up and then a drop. Now, it's looking like it wants to drop here, but I think we could see a shark fin, which would be a big drop here and then a reversal. So hard to say, but I can tell you for certainty that this trade it will look way better when it shoots back up to the top, right? So wait for it to shoot up. Once it hits that zone, then we can look for ourselves. Let me see if there's any 4 hour. So you have 4 hour there. All right, so you have the 1 hour. I would say look for it in between here, this zone, between the 1 hour resistance and this 4 hour resistance. It just makes sense. Is there anything in the daily? Nope. So just expect the pullback. This could be trapping traders right now because it's a big candle and momentum. Everybody will be selling right now, but it's still premature, right? This is not a Asian session play. So false moves, traps, pushes up, more traps, and then continuing because you could be right here, but if you're too early, you're going to get screwed. And this is a 4 hour support zone anyway, so that means that we are going to be expecting some sort of reversal. So just wait for it to make its move up, and then we'll continue with the overall structure moving down. So I'm going to put this as bearish. Okay. EURUSD. This is continuing. I mean, just look at that. There's no reversals. You know, this is going to reverse. It's going to do it tonight going up because it's taken out a recent low. Great structure, all that fun stuff. So, this EURUSD? Yes, it is. So I see divergence. You can see it right there. Clear as day. We have regular divergence. And if that's the case, that means we'll be waiting for this maybe to drop a little bit more. So a reversal, go back up, end the day. Be good. Now, let me see what happened on the 4 hour. This is what I was saying all week since Sunday. Because what's today? This is technically Thursday. This is Wednesday, Tuesday, Sunday, Monday. So we wanted it to drop down to the blueberry, and that's exactly what happened, guys. Look at that. It made its move. It's touching it right now. And the fact that it's hitting this blueberry gives me more confirmation that this will most likely consolidate on the 4 hour for a few candles. So you're looking at the next, what time is it? 8 o'clock here. And it happens every 4 hours. So we're going to see this thing probably for the next 12 hours consolidate. And then during London session, New York session, we'll see it pull up for New York reversal to finish out the pullback. Right? We're on a higher time frame, 4 hour time frame. It's a pullback. We still want to see downward movement, but it's a pullback. Now, one could say it's a reversal because of the moving reversal, but let's say this decides to go up a little bit higher. At most, it's going to go back up to 50. We want to see it retest this 50 moving average. If it hits that 50 moving average, it'll just come back down, and most likely we'll see something like this, where it consolidate, make it down, and then drop back down to this trend. So let's see. Now, because the EMAs are tight, that means that look at that. That's down here. I think it's actually going to retest this 200 moving average and this 500 moving average right before it goes down and touches this trend. I really do believe we're going to see this thing go all the way down. I don't even think it's going to be a major pullback because we already had that. This is all supply and demand. This is all consolidation, accumulation, distribution, whatever you want to call it. Pullbacks only, drops. So we're looking at EU for continued drops. Overall, expect a midweek reversal, mind you. Like I said, just because we know it wants to drop on a higher time frame doesn't mean it has to do it right here. But we are expecting, put it into your mind that expect a pullback at least, right? Expect a pullback, maybe to the 1 hour, 50, maybe a little bit higher. And once it hits there, if it hits one of these and it's showing signs on like the 15-minute chart of a shark fin, you guys have the TDI, get the TDI. But if it's showing signs of that, what this is going to look like on the TDI on a 15-minute chart, it's a big push up outside of the volatility bands with a shark fin coming down. Maybe the trick you initially to get in, then price goes up like this, right? Makes a formation, and then comes back up again. hits another formation, drops, and then continues. And what this will look like on the TDI is this. So you'll have divergence here, divergence there. It's not drawn to perfection, but you get it. And that's when we can take the sell down to the next low or to the recent low, or if you want to take it overall to this trend line, you can hold that. But that's what we're looking for. We're looking for sells. We're looking for more of an opportunity to look for sells. So I'm going to put EURUSD, but I'm going to put in parentheses expect, can't spell it, universal, aka a higher time frame pullback or a continued, I can't spell. I am spelling it right, damn it. And I put this here because I know a lot of you that watch this shit probably don't. You just look at, oh, he said it's bullish, so we're gonna be looking for buy. Oh, he said it's bearish, we're gonna be looking for sells. And then you sell what I put on here, and you're like, oh, it went the wrong way. But I'm like, well, if you watch the analysis, you'll see that I was actually saying this shit. So I might just make it easier on you guys and just say what I'm saying so you don't get fucked. Because I've had people come to me saying, I took it, I lost. So I'm like, well, why'd you buy it? Well, because you said it was bullish. Well, did you see that I also said it could be a bearish move first before it does that? No. Oh, I guess you're not watching the analysis. And then they're like, oh, I thought I could, but don't cheat yourself. Watch the shit. I'll give you nuggets every day. So, what else? We have some solid setups right now, guys. Just off of the pairs I went over. I give you guys direction. I give you guys analysis. All of it. This is all extra. This is all fluff. So if EURUSD and all them are still continuing, USDCHF, I've been saying this thing needs to go up. I think it's actually going to continue up. So you have USDCHF right here. I still wanted to see to hit this trend line. That's a continuation. This is not a reversal. So guess what? I'm not even going to do an analysis on this because I already know what it's going to do. This is going to continue up, and it's going to continue up to this trend line. So you guys are going to be looking for buys. This might actually be one of the pairs I end up taking because it's super easy, super understanding to know what it's going to do. I mean, I'm sorry if that sounds cocky, but it is what it is. You see the market, how for what it is. Patterns get very fucking easy. So you see what the daily looks like. Yep. I think it's gonna go back and hit that 618. Fire actually. Right in between the 618 and 786. As long as it doesn't go by that 786, this is still a valid setup. So buys, guys. TBI on here, that's not a reversal. This is going up. Fucking up, man. Now, it might be too soon, but I don't know. This might be just a straight rise. We'll see. So USDCHF for sure is a buy. I'm gonna put here my eyes. USDCHF at the moment. I already got my trade on AUDJPY, and I'm gonna put EURCAD. You like this for a block, so maybe I don't know. USDCHF and EURCAD. That's so far. So moving forward, VA fucking continued up. I called that last night. I mean, this is the AUD news, so the fact that it did make its push up already, we may want to start looking for some reversals here. It needs to breathe, so hit up to the top, and yeah, I would just wait. I think it's gonna be the same thing. Already made its move up. Just wait for it to do it. AD CAD tanked. All the AD pairs tanked, dropped. dropped. It's the same thing. It already made its move, so we're going to be looking for reversals. I don't really think it's going to continue much farther. Like my AUDJ, glad I took my AUDJPY trade out because it bounced around that 500 moving average, and it's going to reverse. So let's see, NZDCAD made money on this last night for the buy. Got out literally at the top right there, and I saw this candle formation form, and I got right out, and it continued. And I had this for a sell last, so I actually could have went both ways. I could have took out my profit at the top and then traded it for a sell all the way back down to the low, and made a decent profit. So NZDCAD, this is gonna continue. I was saying this last night. I was like, it's gonna fucking drop all the way down. It's gonna finish out this move, and it's gonna be sexy. So if we go to the weekly, look at that. It's already testing the weekly low from 2020, March 2020. So I'm gonna say keep looking for sells. This is a CAD pair. This might just continue to drop from where it's at, guys. So, but I'm gonna wait. It's at a very low right now, very low point. TVI is getting oversold. It's starting to come out, showing a shark fin. Usually when it does that, it's a trap for them to reverse, and that's when I'll come back in. So look for sells, but get it in your head. Could be a midweek reversal, right? It could be a midweek reversal. They throw it down, or it could just be an institutional candle. Because we have 1, 2, 3, 4 hits to 5 right here at the start of the day. 5 hits to the low, all equal lows, all trap traders. If they decide to throw an institutional candle, this is exactly where they do it. Throw it down, a couple candles, everyone starts selling. They get a lot of liquidity. That's it's a money sign. And once they get enough, they do 1 or 2 big candles back up. Hard, maybe not that hard, but back up like that. And then do a pullback candle, and then they go back. So I would say wait. I've just been in these positions before, but man, the higher time frame, man, it's fucking good. It looks good for a continued sell. There's some divergence. So I just uh I'm gonna have to stick to my statistics here. Wait for it to shoot up, then sell the shit out of it. I mean, this is the daily candle that started fucking 5 hours ago. So this, we got 24 hours in a day. We got 19 hours left. If this decides to go up and make a big fat wick, guess what? I'll grab it. But if it decides to drop, I'm not gonna get caught in that stupid ass institutional shit where it goes back down on me, profit them, and then they just reverse it. So I'm going to take my time, but I do want NZDCAD to be bearish. So we're gonna make that bearish. Damn it, iTunes. Well, I don't even use iTunes. So we're gonna NZDCAD. I'm gonna put wait for pullback. Okay. Maybe I'll do another one. Nope. The continued sell. NZDUSD, same shit as NZDCAD. I mean, it already made it move down, broke the lows. See how it broke the equal lows? That's going to make an institutional candle. It's going to go right here. It's going to go up. We'll see. It's wicking. It's at the weekly below the AWR. So low AWR, and I don't see divergence though. And so the only thing we're going to be looking for then is pullback, just like I said on NZDCAD, and a continued drop. So if that's the case, we're looking for shark fins, the lower time frame, the upside to go back up. If it decides to drop, and look at that, we have a daily, that most likely a daily, or no, we have a daily channel. Look at that. That's where it's going. So NZDUSD, it's a drop. Wait for a pullback. It could continue to drop, but you don't want to risk it. Wait for a pullback. I promise you, if I get it too soon. We'll do. All right, I think that's good. I gave you guys a bunch of fucking nuggets. Trades already played out perfectly. Some of them did. I hope this thing is still catching my voice. It's about to die. All right. That's it for tonight. We have a lot of setups, guys. I will see you guys tomorrow, and we'll kick smash. Peace out.